For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Welcome into your Tuesday mailbag edition of Mammoth Daily. He is Adrian Denny, and I am Mike Fulta. We're your Hockey Night in Utah radio crew. AD will be joined by Nick Olczyk tonight. It's another national TV game, or as we like to say, a radio exclusive game for those who are looking for a Utah spin to their broadcast. So we'll have Nicky O on with us on 1280 AM DKSL Sports Zone, and you can also listen on the KSL app and the NHL app as well. So good to be back in action tonight at the Delta Center. Big week for the Utah Mammoth. 3 games, Edmonton, Nashville, and then Carolina on Saturday.
Mike, we were at practice on Monday, and the Mammoth are putting a lot of emphasis on this week. And it was a quick practice. Off of the day off yesterday, game tonight, they went through it, got their work done, and got inside. But message from the Mammoth, Mike. Head coach Andre Cherney, heard from Alexander Kerfoot as well. Biggest week of the year for Utah. They've got Edmonton tonight, coming in on Thursday night, Nashville, Saturday, Carolina, Sunday, Calgary. Mike, the Mammoth want that X by Utah in the standings to officially clinch that playoff spot. Here's a cut we got from Alexander Kerfoot yesterday at practice.
Well, we found ways to win. Haven't been like full 60-minute efforts, I wouldn't say, but at this time of year, getting 2 points is the most important, and we've found ways to do that on the road for 3 straight games, which is tough to do. So we just want to continue that momentum back home. We know that this week is the most important week of the year. If we play well this week, we're in the playoffs, and everything that we've done up till now is worth it. But the job's not done, and so this is as big a week as we can have. Yeah, it's fun. It's exciting. I mean, this group's been in a position for a long time where they haven't been in the playoffs, so there's definitely some buzz. We feel it. It's good to have excitement in the room, but at the same time, we can't look too far ahead. We can't be thinking about the playoffs yet. We're thinking about Edmonton. This is a huge game, and can't look past that.
I love that from one of Utah's leaders in the group, Alexander Kerfoot, a veteran of the league. He's been in the postseason before, and you can look at Money Puck all you want. You can look at the playoff odds all you want, 98%, 99%. But as Kerfoot said, job's not done. And 3 big games here. Mammoth with their magic number at 8 as we record this. They could clinch this week, depending on what some of the other teams below them do. They would have to miss out on points, but a week where the Mammoth could potentially clinch the postseason for the first time.
And Mike, Andre Cherney opening up his post-practice availability with we've won 3 in a row, and we're looking at everything we're doing wrong. And I think he was complimenting his team that they were the ones that said, we need to get off to better starts. We've got to tighten this up. We got to tighten that up. And I think he was impressed with his group. A couple maintenance days of practice on Monday, Mike. Dylan Gunther for the second straight Monday, taking a maintenance day. John Marino taking a maintenance day. Didn't see Jack McBain and Barrett Hayton, of course, out there for the Mammoth as well. But just some basic note keeping. But I love April when the sun's out and you're getting close to the playoffs and you're going to be in the playoffs and you just kind of feel it. And the guys got to practice yesterday, Mike, and they met business on a Monday, got on the ice, got off the ice, and onward we go to Edmonton tonight.
Edmonton tonight, a team the Mammoth have never beaten going back to last season. But Adrian, just before we dive in on the Oilers, remember last year it was a game, I think it was in March, mid-March, when Utah lost in Seattle and kind of missed out on an opportunity to grab a playoff spot. And then they went to Vancouver and we all had circled that game as the most important game of the year. And the Mammoth won the most important game of the year, but they still missed the playoffs by 7 points. Now we're in what, we're starting to think of the most important stretch of the year, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, most important month, whatever you want to call it. But is it a little odd to you that the Mammoth haven't, and maybe this is just what it feels like to be a playoff team, where you don't have that one crucible game where you're like, this is the most important game of the year. We've had some big games. I think the win against LA to create some separation. There have been a couple wins against LA, actually, to create some separation. But there hasn't been that one game that we rubber stamp as the most important game of the year.
What are we missing, Mike? It's tonight. It's the Edmonton Oilers tonight, Mike. 7:30 at the Delta Center. Never beaten Edmonton before, Mike. 0-5, leads in 3 of the 5 games. And if the playoffs started today, that's your opponent. This is the biggest game of the year. You want to go out and make a statement. You want to go beat Edmonton. In all likelihood, Mike, it's a logjam in the Pacific right now. Edmonton and Anaheim, 87 points. Vegas is hot all of a sudden. They've won 3 straight, 86 points. 3 teams separated by a point. Edmonton has the tiebreaker, then Vegas, then Anaheim. But, Mike, I think this is a statement game that you want to go out and show you can beat Edmonton, because they're the most likely team you're going to see in the first round of the playoffs right now.
So you say this one, most important game of the year. I still think, I'm going back through the schedule, I think that last win in LA might be just like the most important on paper to create some space, because with Edmonton, you're not really fighting, you're not trying to hold back a team to steal your spot per se, right? So I think that's one of the critical ingredients for me when I look at, if you want to start listing most important games of the year. This is more of an off-season activity, I guess. Like one of those summertime segments we can get into. But I mean, you heard it from Kerf, like most important week, job's not done. You love to look at the deserve a win-o-meter. Is that what it's called?
I do. Like, I love my deserve to win-o-meter at moneypuck.com.
Deserve to win-o-meter. Sometimes it's at, 80, 90%, and you still lose. So even when the analytics say you're in, it doesn't mean anything until you punch your ticket.
The guys are treating it like that, Mike. They want to clinch officially. They don't want to get too ahead to be talking about playoffs, but they want to officially clinch that spot. I saw a writer on Twitter make a great point earlier this week about getting your ticket punched to the playoffs, and how inaccurate that is, getting your ticket punched to the playoffs, because you haven't played playoff games. You haven't entered the playoffs yet. So your ticket hasn't been punched. You've bought the tickets. You just haven't had them punched. And then this digital age, Mike, of not even having tickets anymore. Everything's on your phone. But the Mammoth want to continue to make a statement here, which is what we talked about. Like, you win 6 the final 8. You got momentum. You're feeling good. You're going in. You lose 6 of 8. You're still going to be in all likelihood. You're just not going to be,
more stress. Who is this writer? Who is this? This right? Because you go to a place. If you have a physical ticket, they'll punch your ticket like when you walk in the door, even if the show hasn't started yet. So the show hasn't started. We're not in our seats, but we're in the gate. We're in the venue. We did the hardest part. We got there.
You got the tickets.
Yeah. Who is this? Come on.
It was one of our favorites from The Athletic. I can't pick a point, and I never thought I'd think about that tweet again until you
AI
just
generated article. That was an AI generated summary or recap of a game. That was not a human who has ever been to a concert or an event and had their ticket punched. They would know better. But let's get to Edmonton.
You make a fair case.
What's that?
Fair case, Mike. You make a fair case.
Well, I'm passionate about what I'm passionate about. Let's get to
You
Edmonton. So tonight,
you certainly
7:30
are, Mike.
What's that?
You certainly are very passionate about what you believe in.
That's
I
right.
can attest to that.
That's right. Passionate about tonight. 7:30 puck drop, as you reminded me a couple days ago. So a little bit later. What do you say? Time for dessert if you're having dinner before?
Yeah, you've got an extra half hour. If you're coming down to the Delta Center you don't have to rush over. You don't have to sit down, Mike, and say, we only have 45 minutes for dinner. You've got time for dinner and you've got time for dessert. So feel free on a Tuesday night, Mike, to get some dessert wherever you're choosing to eat dinner tonight before the game, as the Mammoth have a huge one on ESPN Plus against the Edmonton Oilers, looking to beat them for the first time. Oilers are coming in hot, Mike. First place in the Pacific Division. That victory against Utah on Tuesday, March 24th, 2 weeks ago tonight, is what kind of got them going in terms of, the winning streak. They defeated Anaheim during the course of it and bumped the Ducks down a little bit. And they're back, as we said. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. We're always looking for that streak from Edmonton, and 5 in a row.
Yeah, for a lot of the season, until this win streak, they hadn't won 3 games in a row all year, and now they just ripped off 5 before getting dominated by Vegas, a game that Vegas really needed to kind of prove that they were still in the mix in the Pacific. But what's been interesting, Adrian, and I watched the Edmonton Seattle game before we played the Kraken, and I was watching that game and I was thinking, gosh, what a boring game. And then it kind of hit me, boy, if this is how the Oilers are going to play, if they're going to lock it down and make things difficult in the offensive zone for teams, and if they're going to be this stingy in front of their own goaltender, whether it's Jari or Ingram, look out, because this is what they've been looking for a lot of the season, that defensive identity. They've been winning games, Adrian, 3-1, 3-0, 4-2. It's not like the high-flying Oilers of earlier in the year, or even the inconsistent Oilers where they win one game 6-2, then lose a game 6-2. Looking at the Sport Logic numbers, Adrian, and they're a little skewed, because they lost to Vegas 5-1. So they would be a little better without that game. But the biggest things that stand out to me is in their own zone, they're getting pucks out a lot cleaner. They're not giving up as many chances on the forecheck. And they're also cleaning up rebounds a lot more over the last week or so. They're not allowing those second chance opportunities that are always really hard for any goaltender. But we know goaltending's been an issue in oil country. And so those two things right there are things to look for tonight as the Oilers look for another good defensive performance against the high-flying Mammoth.
Yeah, they've been good defensively, and they've gotten some good saves. Tristan Jarry and Connor Ingram have combined for a 1.59 goals against average and a 9.36 save percentage during the 5-game winning streak for the Oilers. So they've tightened it up. They've gotten some depth scoring as well, right? It hasn't all been Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman with Leon Draisaitl out of the lineup. Matt Savoy has 4 goals in 5 games. Jack Roslovic had a big game at the Delta Center, scored a couple of goals back on Tuesday, March 24th. He's got 5 and 5. And Vasily Podkolzin, who we talked about on the broadcast on Saturday night, Mike, as a former Vancouver first-round draft pick, has 3 points in his last 5. Evan Bouchard has been pumping in those Bouch bombs. He's got 9 points in his last 6. Edmonton is a team that's gotten some scoring in spurts from their blue liners this year, Mike, and it's coming right now.
And by the way, Connor McDavid, ho-hum, leads the league in scoring with 126 points as well. And I think, Adrian, that's when you know a player is truly great, is when they produce at an elite level and you're not impressed by them or their production at this point, we are only impressed by Connor McDavid when we see his artistic expression. We're not impressed by the 2 goals he scored against Utah a couple weeks ago. I think the Mammoth actually played really well against Connor McDavid. They didn't let him transport the puck all that much. He did score an unbelievable goal off the rush. It was a great pass, and he kind of cushioned it down and made a great move to flip it past Veggie. But it's not as if he was slithering through everybody the entire night, and then he scores an empty netter at the end. But 2 goals is one of the best nights of the season for most players in the NHL. For Connor McDavid, the best player in the NHL, we said, yeah, we played pretty well against him.
Yeah, and Mike, interestingly enough about Edmonton, talk about their depth scoring, and you talk about McDavid just popping in his 2 points a night. I say this with great reserve, Mike. Their power play has also not been a big part of this stretch where they've won 5 out of 6 games. They're 1 for 12 during this stretch on the power play. And so for Edmonton, they started a 5-game winning streak in Utah 2 weeks ago tonight. Still in first place, coming off of a loss to Vegas on Saturday night at home. So they're going to try and get things rolling again. Mike, we talk about, Nashville had that 5-game winning streak and then couldn't find themselves, took a little bit of time. We'll see if the Mammoth can give Edmonton a couple losses in a row here this evening.
Yeah, I think if you're an Oilers fan, that's maybe the most encouraging part of the stretch, is that you're able to win a lot of games without the league's best power play coming in to save you each and every night. They have 1 power play goal in their last 8 games. You can even take it back even further than that 5-game winning streak. So they've been playing the type of hockey that they've been looking for in up in Alberta, and it'll be a great test for Utah tonight. Interesting, Adrian, that Connor Ingram has taken over as the number 1 goaltender. He started 9 of their last 11. Obviously, they made the trade for Tristan Jarry back in, I believe it was January. Hasn't worked out with Jarry, but with Ingram, he's given them a chance to win, and had a shutout against Seattle a couple games back. No Leon Draisaitl again tonight. He's still out due to injury, and also no Zach Hyman for the Edmonton Oilers as well. He's missing week to week with an upper body injury. So they didn't have Hyman for the second half of their playoff run last year. And you ask folks around the Oilers, they think that was maybe reason number 1 why they didn't bring home the cup a season ago, because he is one of those guys, AD, that plays a hard-nosed game, scored over 50 goals a few years ago. Really good around the net, and is one of those types of guys that brings that playoff intensity that sometimes they've lacked over the course of the regular season. So a couple things of note there for the Oilers.
As we talk about it, and being without Hyman, that was pretty impressive that they got as far as they did without him, because we've talked about injuries this year that affected the Florida Panthers and not going to the playoffs, and Edmonton without Draisaitl, and they've managed to put together some good stuff. But Zach Hyman is just kind of that glue guy in front of the net that you depend on, especially in the playoffs. So they weren't as close last summer as they were the year before when they got to 7, but Zach Hyman missing all that time was a big deal for them, and as you said, some absences as of late for Edmonton.
And he missed the start of this year as well. Didn't make his season debut until mid-November. So he's been he's one of their heart and soul guys. I think that's fair to say. You watch the Amazon documentary, like you realize how important Zach Hyman is to, how important he is to their group. So a couple injury notes there. Adrian, I saw this post from our good friend Austin Facer, SLC Puck, and he pointed out, and we've been talking about Money Puck a lot here last couple of weeks, but I'll drop their name one more time. They do this fun chart where it kind of tells you your odds to basically place in each seed according to what happens each night. So it's this grid. And the folks at moneypuck.com thinks that There's a 58% chance to play Edmonton in the first round if Utah loses to Edmonton in regulation tonight. That drops all the way down to 28%, a 28% chance to play Edmonton if Utah wins in regulation tonight against the Oilers. So if you look at this matchup where the Oilers have beat the Mammoth 6-3 and 5-2 already this year, and if you are of the ilk that you don't want to see Connor McDavid and Edmonton in the first round, then you are rooting big time for the Mammoth tonight, because according to Money Puck, the odds of facing Edmonton in the first round drop significantly if Utah is to win tonight.
Yeah, so they've got a say in it. And Mike, it looked like a couple weeks ago, like Anaheim coming in here solidified the Pacific Division by beating Utah. Now, all of a sudden, the Ducks are winless in 5 straight games. So take 2 at having a say in the opponent tonight against Edmonton. And I think the Mammoth are going to come out absolutely juiced. They know they've never beaten the Oilers before. They know what the deficiencies have been against Edmonton, and it's been defensively and containing them and managing momentum. So I have had some feelings about games this year, Mike, that I thought the Mammoth would just come out and boat race the opposition, and in a couple instances hasn't happened, including the 4-0 loss to Chicago. But I feel good about this one.
Okay. All right. I like your intuition. I've learned to lean on your intuition more times than not. You've got a good feel. You've got a good feel for these things. But Edmonton, for whatever reason, has been a tough matchup. So are there 3 teams now that the Mammoth have never beaten? Don't tell me. But are there 3 teams?
I've got 2.
Edmonton, Ottawa, and New Jersey.
Yep, that's what I got. Yep. The 2 out east and Edmonton.
That's off the top. Yeah. And the other 2 are just kind of odd. Edmonton, you understand a little bit more. They've been to the finals each of the last 2 years.
You've played New Jersey and Ottawa at just some rough times.
Yeah.
I know they beat Ottawa. They beat Ottawa in January on the 7th.
Did we know?
Got that first win against
them.
Yeah,
Daniil Boot got his first goal, I think, right?
Yeah, 7-game homestand kicked off against Ottawa.
Okay.
We're at the games, folks. We're at the games. We're paying attention most of the time. We're at the games, though.
Exactly. Oh, my God. Think of when we go to 84 games. Adrian.
Oh, my goodness.
We're gonna be swimming in it. Anything else, AD, on Edmonton before you want to get to our mailbag?
That stat you just gave from Money Puck is pretty direct, Mike, in the implications that tonight's game is potentially going to have as we start to go down the stretch here. And the Mammoth, Mike, looking to get back rolling at home. They've had some great home stretches this year, and now 5 of 6 at home to wrap up the regular season.
Let's get to our Tuesday mailbag here. We got some great submissions. AD was telling me we have a loaded segment coming up for you. It's our Tuesday mailbag edition of Mammoth Daily, and we're hearing from Mammoth Nation coming up next.
Looks like the mail's here. Time for the Mammoth Mailbag.
Mailbag time on a Tuesday here on Mammoth Daily. I am Mike_Fulta on Twitter. He is at 801 Adrian Denny. You can also find us on Instagram. We pull a lot of our comments from the YouTube comment section as well. So, AD, I was looking through these that producer Johnny had prepared, and it's a loaded show. Not sure if we're going to get to all of them, but let's go through as many as we can.
Yeah, let's get to this one, Mike. Staying on topic with Edmonton, Anaheim, and Vegas. And it's from Molina. And Molina says, if the Mammoth were to win the first round and in the second round face a team with a worse regular season record, who would have home ice? That's a great question, Mike, because the Mammoth come into tonight with 86 points. Edmonton and Anaheim have 87 points. Vegas has 86. they could have a better record than the team they play in the first round too. And if they win that series, the second round. But Mike, it's all about seeding. The teams that they're going to play are going to have home ice advantage in the first round and second round, regardless of the regular season records. Though we were able to dig through some records. You got our buddy Russell Brooks, our statistician, involved. Looking back in the NHL, Mike, over the years, how many times has a team with a better record had to start on the road because they were the lower seed, the wild card team?
Yeah, we didn't go through the entire NHL, and remember the playoff format has changed over the course of seasons as well. I'm kind of stalling here as I try and scroll back.
I've got it.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem, man. So Russ telling us that as of recent, in 2017, the Rangers started in Ottawa for the second round. New York had 102 regular season points. Ottawa had 98. They played in the second round of the 2017 playoffs. Started in Ottawa. Rangers had the better regular season record. Ottawa won the series 4-2, Mike. So the team with the fewer points but home ice did win. The Islanders in 2016 had 100 points. They started in Tampa Bay in the second round. Lightning had 97 points. Tampa Bay won that series in 5. So home ice advantage in those two series looming large.
And I should mention too, because I actually looked this up, and the wording is not super clear on the NHL's like explanation splash page. I don't feel like, but the gist of it is like, yes, the seeding determines home ice advantage for the first 2 rounds. Once you hit the conference finals, however, then it's the team with the better regular season record that has home ice. So the only way that Utah could have home ice is if they reach the Western Conference Finals and if the second wild card team also reaches the Western Conference Finals.
Right. So not likely with that second wild card team having to go through the Central, but good luck. Good luck, and we'll be watching.
Isn't that odd? Like, isn't that odd? Don't you think? Like, why is that a rule? Or why does it change? Why does it change the conference finals?
Because the seeding is a mess. Because you got top three seeds, wild card, wild card.
Okay, yeah,
just takes out some paperwork.
Well, yeah. Just because you could have one division that's so much better than another. Okay, yeah, I got you.
So,
makes
hey,
sense.
here's one. Good question here, Mike, coming to us from Hombre de Queso, who says, what are the lessons the team needs to learn for the playoffs that can only truly be learned by being in the playoffs? We talk about learning every day, but some lessons are unique. And Mike, for this one, you know who we went to get a good answer on playoff lessons. We've got one member of our broadcast team, of our staff, of our work family who could help us out with this one, Mike. So you know who we went to? Went to our old buddy, Dominic Moore.
What's up, guys? All right, question about lessons for the playoffs that can only be learned in the playoffs. It's a great question because we talk about lessons and growth all the time. I think there are certain things that you can get a taste of from different experiences you might have had in the regular season. But there's no experience like playing in the actual playoffs themselves because everything is ratcheted up. So momentum swings, for example, you can have momentum swings throughout a regular season or within games in the regular season, but they just are magnified in the playoffs, and they mean more in the playoffs because there's so much more riding on the line, and you have a finite amount of games and time to work with before time runs out. Pressure, closing out a game, for example, the final 2 or 3 minutes of a game in the playoffs mean more than they do in the regular season, and the intensity of the crowd, that kind of thing, you know, learning how to handle that and play through that, all of those things, I think you can only learn from the actual experience. So I'm excited for that moment for this team and for these players, many of whom have been in the league a long time, that have just barely experienced that at all. Schmaltz, Krause, Keller, these guys, it's all going to be very new for them, but I think they've been craving it, and they are more excited than anyone to experience that themselves.
Little splash of a Thursday expert here on our Tuesday mailbag.
How about
Thanks,
that?
Tom.
He even put on a suit for us. Went down to the Delta Center, threw on a suit for us.
Yeah, must have been shooting some content over there. Thought he was taking the option at practice, but
no, yeah, Dom went the extra mile for us to get that answer.
Love
immediately. I texted him, said, "You going to be down at the Mammoth Ice Center on Monday? I can grab this from you." And he's like, "No, I'm going to be at the Delta Center because we're doing some shooting for some content, but I will get you an answer ASAP." And 10 minutes later, text comes in from Dom with a perfectly shot video message that he did himself.
That's great stuff. And thanks to Molina and Hombre de Queso. We hear a lot from Hombre de Queso on the post game. Always good to get him in the mailbag too.
Yeah, totally, Mike. All right, let's as we solve all the world's problems, Mike, let's go back to the rule book. And here's a question comes to us from Mammoth Morley. He says, "Okay, as a follow-up to my power play stats question from a couple weeks ago, on the double minor that the Mammoths scored in the first 2 minutes but not the second, did they go 1 for 1 on the power play or 1 for 2? So, Mike, 4 minutes goes up on the board for a double minor, 2 different penalties. So 2 different power plays. You score in the first 2 minutes, guy comes out, you start your second power play like that.
Yep. So if you only score once on a 4-minute double minor, you would be 1 for 2. But if you score once on a 5-minute major, you would be 1 for 1 on that power play.
So if you do have a major and you score in the major, the 5-minute major, right? A 5-minute major for slashing. So you're on a 5-minute power play, no matter what, is how I describe it. Because if you score on the power play, you stay on the power play for 5 minutes, no matter what. So if you score 2 power play goals in that 5-minute major, you're going to end on the power play still, right? So you can't go perfect. You'll be 2 for 3. If you don't score in the 5 minutes, you're 0 for 1. If you score 1, you're 1 for 2. So you're never going to be perfect on a 5-minute major power play.
Oh, is that how it works? You go 1 for 2?
Yep. No matter what, you score 1, you're on your second power play after that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Holy jumping. Wow. Okay. I never seen that before.
I've got to give a shout out, Mike, because it's the last week of Grizzlies hockey. And I learned everything in terms of rules like that and the double minor and all that stuff from Roger Orn, who is their head off ice official. I started there as an intern, and you go in, you think you know everything. And Roger taught me a lot of things over the years about the hockey rule book. So that was one of those things. I remember the conversation that we had all those years ago. Him explaining the major penalty situation and the double minor and all that stuff. So shout out to Roger.
Wow. I mean, it definitely makes sense. I should have spent some more time with Roger. I guess I've just never noticed that. I mean, you don't see it a lot where you go on a 5-minute major or a 5-minute power play. It's not super common, but I'm a little embarrassed. I've had kind of a tough run here, Adrian. What was it? Like magic numbers, Keller's hat trick, and now power plays? Gosh. What do they say? What do they say? It's not what you know that gets you in. It's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for show that just ain't so. Holy smokes!
It's always Mike. As I always say, Mike, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up.
Hey, me and Mammoth Morley were combining on that mailbag question.
All right, let's talk some broadcasting here, Mike. Great question from our buddy Kevin, who listener, watcher, viewer since day one of Mammoth Daily, chiming in the YouTube comments, always helping people out. We appreciate Kevin listening up in Alberta. And he says, fellas, I'll send you both a lucky loony to plan at the Delta Center. If you'll somehow get your radio broadcast synced up with the TV broadcast, talking about the ESPN broadcast and not being able to watch that and hear us synced at the same time, about a 45-second delay. So it's very annoying, but really good job calling the game, guys. And excellent game by the boys. He submitted that after the Seattle game. Mike, we can help here on the Tuesday Mailbag. We can help folks that want to sync up the radio broadcast with the nationally televised broadcast. So on a game like tonight, when you don't have Maddie and Dom and Sarah and Kim, and the game's on ESPN Plus or Hulu, and you've got Mike and Nick and me on Hockey Night Utah on the radio, and you'd prefer to listen to us. And the ESPN folks, Mike, they do a good job, and they are prepared. And you've sent me some things that get sent to their broadcasters in terms of the preparation and some broadcaster prep that's done. But the hometown broadcaster, Mike, is a fan. It's what you want, right? You want to hear your guys. So here's how you can sync up the national TV broadcast and Hockey Night Utah on the radio. Let's say that the TV feed is ahead of the feed on the NHL app.
It almost always
app.
is.
Yep. So watching the TV feed, Mike, okay? So you hear a whistle. Pause your TV at the whistle, okay? We will continue on, and you will hear the same whistle shortly thereafter on the KSL Sports app, NHL app. Pause your app, okay? When you hear the whistle. Then press play at the same time. Remote, app, we will be synced. That's how you don't do it.
I mean, the way I do it, AD, you don't even need to pause the app. You just you hear the whistle on the TV, hit pause on the TV. You hear the whistle on the radio, and once you hear the whistle on the radio, boom, you hit play on the TV,
sure.
and it's gonna be synced up within a second.
That makes sense too.
It's they sell software that does it for you, or you could use the old whistle technique. So there you go,
Kevin. Yeah, got an answer for everything. Hey, got another one here. Hey, Mike, for this one, we had to go to the boss for this question. Here it comes. Comes to us from our buddy Sam, Mike. He says, now that it seems we can say quote unquote playoffs out loud, what does the Hockey Night Utah talent lineup look for the national broadcasts that aren't on SEG Plus? He says, will we get some more 3-person booths on the radio call? So Mike, we went to the expert for this one. We went to our boss, Craig Amazine, executive producer for Utah Mammoth Broadcasting. And he sent us an answer. He got right back to us, Mike, with the answer. He says, if Utah makes the playoffs, all nationally televised games for the duration of the playoffs will feature Mike Folta, Nick Olczyk, and Adrian Denny on the Utah Mammoth radio broadcast. So there you go, Mike. We went to an expert, Sam. Got you the official.
Now, the for those who don't know, it's the regional broadcast. So our friends on Hockey Night in Utah on the TV, Maddie, Dom, Nick, Sarah, all those guys, they'll be with you for the first round. After the first round is when it's all national. So, and there are some odd national games in the first round too, depending on what days the games fall on. Is it Sunday afternoon on ABC or TNT, Adrian?
Right. Right.
But I think that's right. But so the first round you'll have the TV folks with you. Everything after that will be the me, Adrian, and Nick crew on the radio.
So if you wanna sample what that sounds like, 7:30 tonight with the Edmonton Oilers, Mike and Nick will have the call for you on Hockey Night in Utah on the radio. All right, Mike, final one. And this is a good one because it gave me an idea for an off-season segment. Here it is. Final question here on the Tuesday mailbag. It's from Chris. Says, hey, Mammoth from the Carolinas here. Just wanted to say thanks to the pod. Really enjoy listening on my ride home. Have about an hour and a half drive. Well, that's perfect for us because this 30-minute podcast usually goes that long.
How about a commute? Yeah.
he says, question. When you guys were coming up, did you see yourselves broadcasting or did you want to do something else? He says, I always appreciate hearing how people got to where they are, intentional or not. Mike, you went to school to be an engineer, or did you go to an engineering school to be a broadcaster, Mike?
That's a great question. Yeah, I look, Chris, thanks for the submission. God bless you out in the Carolinas. What a drive. Good news for you is that that's probably a gorgeous drive in the Carolinas. A lot of pretty country out there. I first started doing the whole broadcasting thing in center field when I was playing travel baseball, and I would do it to keep me and my left fielder entertained during games. Be some long hot summers in the Midwest. And I think for me, it really started out as something I liked doing. But, my mom was a teacher. I was good in school. So, I always felt like there was something STEM related waiting for me in college and beyond. I didn't really think that much about like pursuing something like broadcasting full time. I thought maybe I could moonlight, and do it on the side here and there. But I never thought it was going to be my career until midway through college. And I've told the story before, AD. But I was with a collegiate summer wood bat league. And so we've got players from all across the U.S. that are in Madison, Wisconsin for a summer. And at the end of the summer, a lot of the parents came in to watch a game in person. And a couple of the parents came up and found me. And they told me, they said, thank you. And it wasn't because I was good. I mean, Lord knows that I was not. But they thanked me for just being the mouthpiece, being the connection between them and their son or their grandson or their nephew for an entire summer. And that's kind of when it flipped from being something that I like doing. It flipped from being a source of vanity and pride into something that I felt is more of a calling, because sports matter to me and I know they matter to a lot of people. And I think on the broadcast, we have a special opportunity to connect people to sports and to create a community that way. And Adrian, we're seeing the fruits of that community every night at the Delta Center when people come up and say hi to us on Radio Row and Portal G. So it's a special thing that we do. I know it's not lost on you, Adrian. It's not lost on me either, how cool of a job we have. But went to school for engineering, got the industrial engineering degree. Thought I was going to work in a cubicle, but then I didn't love it, and eventually I couldn't. I didn't feel like I could deny that calling anymore.
For me, Mike, it's all I've ever wanted to be. The only thing I've ever wanted to be in my whole life is broadcaster. Growing up, wasn't sure if I wanted to be a news anchor, play-by-play, talk show host, whatever. When I got into college, I kind of thought, I think I want to go the FM radio route. And then, opportunity presents itself and got into sports radio, got into hockey, and always kind of wanted to do baseball too. I wanted to do hockey in the winter, baseball in the summer, and had a couple things that came along, and it just wasn't the right time. And at some point along the line, Mike, it's like, okay, this is it. Hockey's what I do. I'm a hockey guy. I'm staying in hockey forever. Mm-hmm. But one story that I've got, and we'll get to it this summer because it's just one of those crazy things. But this question gave me the idea for a segment this summer called Memory Lane. And I'm going to tell the story about how all my stuff got stolen out of a hotel room in Vegas on a road trip. I'm going to tell how I almost stopped being a broadcaster for another job in professional hockey that I was very intrigued by. And that was
head coach.
not head coach. I do that on the radio. I coach, officiate, and commentate on the radio, Mike. So I've always done all three of those things. So it's never been that. I was going to depart broadcasting to be the president and general manager of a team, and it at the last second did not happen. And here we are, Mike. But I will tell that story coming up this summer as part of a series.
Was it the
down
Leafs?
memory lane of stories? It was not the Toronto Maple Leafs. as part of stories from over the years that people just won't believe, but they're true. So that question has inspired an upcoming segment on stuff you won't believe, but really happened.
I love that, Chris. That's you're an inspiration to us, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for listening. And gosh, glad the podcast for more than 30 minutes works for somebody.
We were instructed at the onset of this show, keep it to probably like 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And now we're going up to an hour pretty regularly.
Yes, yeah, or more. So there we go, Mike. Great Tuesday mailbag, folks. You can leave your questions in the YouTube comments all week long. You can hit us up on social media at 801 Adrian Denny, at Mike_Fulta. Mike, as we continue on here, it's our first season of doing Mammoth Daily, and we get new ideas and new inspiration all the time. But one thing we're working on right now that we really want to do, and it's in progress, we get so many YouTube comments and so many comments on social media that aren't necessarily questions, but they're comments about stuff we covered on the show and just in general. But coming up on Mammoth Daily as we go on here, we are really going to add our comments and our feedback from all our great listeners and viewers as to a static part of the show that happens just about every day. So in the meantime, I want to give a shout out to Molly June. She gave us an update that we'll get to on the situation up in Logan with all the apartment stuff with paper.
Good.
Keith, Dark Knight Rises, Batman, Matt, Allie, Kevin, and David. Thanks for all your comments. We read them every day. When we love your comments, that's us. We are literally in the back end of the YouTube page loving your comments. So that is us. But want to thank everybody, all the participation, of course, Kevin on a daily basis. But we love the interaction, and we're going to do a lot more with it coming up here on Mammoth Daily.
Well, and before we get to our third period, I realized this by accident. I will be logged into different YouTube accounts or Gmail accounts, depending on what device I'm on. And so sometimes I'll like people's comments multiple times with my two different accounts. So, pay no mind to that. There's one that's a little bit more personal and one that's connected to my work email, but all great stuff and beautifully laid out by you, AD. But we have a fun third period here ahead. It's been a fun mailbag, but some more great Mammoth fandom ahead on our third segment here on Mammoth Daily.
This is Mammoth Daily.
All right, wrapping things up here on your Tuesday mailbag edition of Mammoth Daily. We have the Edmonton Oilers in town coming up later tonight. But AD, whenever you get tweeted by the big boss, it bears recognition on Mammoth Daily. This is Ryan Smith's Twitter account, and that is the head of one of our favorite security supervisors at the Utah Mammoth Ice Center in Sandy, Gustavo Sanchez, who has the Utah Mammoth logo emblazoned onto his skull like a football logo would be on a football helmet. He's got a shaved head so you can see it perfectly. And at Ryan Qualtrics had to snap a pic of it.
And of course, Mike, we see Gustavo every day. First guy we see on most days when we enter the Utah Mammoth Ice Center. He's a good friend of ours and just one of those great folks down there that helps take care of us and helps us stay from getting in trouble. But Gustavo and Phil and Zach and all the gang down there. But Gustavo has the tattoo. So Gustavo is going to be the first one from our security team that makes his way onto Mammoth Daily. And I caught up with him Monday at the Utah Mammoth Ice Center.
All right, Gustavo, we've seen you on Ryan Smith's Twitter because he got a new tattoo, and he showed us the other day. Yes, you got to get that on Mammoth Daily. So turn and show Mike, our photographer here, your Utah Mammoth tattoo. So tell us about it. Deciding what to get it, the design, exactly what you wanted.
I think ever since we got the Mammoth logo, I've always wanted to get it done. And like I told some of the guys, like, yeah, I'm a Kings fan, but once Kopitar and Doughty retires, I'm mostly a Mammoth fan at that point. And I always kept debating if I wanted to put it on my neck and stuff, but with that whole switching over to the Mammoth, I'm like, I got to put it above my Kings tattoo now. And my tattoo artist, he did a really good job that once we got out, people kept thinking it was a sticker the whole time. They're like, is that a sticker? They kept trying to touch it. And I'm like, yeah, don't poke at it.
What's the reception been in the Delta Center? Because you go to a lot of games.
It's been great. I mean, mostly I've been getting attention here in the facility. Once Chris and Bill Armstrong saw it, that's when they kind of blew up. And then before you know it, Ryan Smith comes down and like, oh, where's this famous tattoo I've been hearing about? And yeah, that's when he took a picture and uploaded it.
Great stuff, Gustavo. Love seeing it. And then we're like, that's our guy. Ryan Smith just tweeted the guy that lets us into the building every day. So.
Very exciting. I was very nervous for sure because when someone that big comes up to you, like, let me take a picture of you. Okay.
So, folks, when you come to the Utah Mammoth Ice Center, whether you're here for a drop-in, for a practice, for our next open practice, Gustavo will be here. You got to come see him. He'll take a picture, sign an autograph. But
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Gustavo Sanchez. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Adrian, notice how he had the Kings tattoo on the neck, and you put a team's tattoo on your neck. You're thinking like, okay, that's for life. You're a fan of that team for life. Gustavo had the Kings tattoo on his neck before the Mammoth got here. So the Mammoth come to Utah, and he's like, well, I gotta find a way to one up this neck tattoo. How about a head tattoo? And so he's got the Kings tattoo. Grew up a Kings fan. Once Kopitar and Doughty say their goodbyes, then it's all Utah. He was at a Mammoth game in Mammoth gear the last time we saw him, but when the Kings came to town, I know he had a soft spot for some of the LA greats.
We get it, and he's one of us though. He's a Mammoth, and the Mammoth tattoo that he's got right there looks awesome. So 100% understand, Mike. The Mammoth just got here in May of 2025, as you announced on the video that was viewed by millions of people. But before that, Utah Hockey Club, and before that, we didn't have an NHL team. So totally get it.
Well, thank you to Gustavo for the time and for the inspiration. We have a bunch of great tattoos across Mammoth Nation. But big one tonight. As always, feel free to come and say hi to us at the top of Section 7. Just come right through Portal G. We'd love to have a chat with you for a minute or two and get your take on the game. But one of the biggest weeks of the year, maybe the biggest week of the year, as Alexander Kerfoot said. 3 big ones starting tonight against Edmonton, Thursday against Nashville, then Carolina Saturday. Did I say earlier that Utah could clinch as early as Tuesday? Did I say Tuesday? I meant
Thursday.
Thursday. Good.
Thursday.
Yeah. Because it could happen this week. The Mammoth could clinch a playoff spot. They need a few wins and some losses elsewhere around the league. But AD, we'll talk to everybody tonight on 1280 AM, the KSL Sports Zone, on the KSL app, and on the NHL app.